Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is the May 31st edition of the From the Bench podcast, May 31st, 2018. I'm Mark Janish, your host. I'm going to speak about the NBA playoffs today. This is game one. Game one has just been completed a short time ago. The Cleveland Cavaliers, tremendous underdogs in this series, lost to the Golden State Warriors 124-114 in overtime. LeBron James became the sixth player in NBA playoff history to score 50-plus points. He had 51 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. He is the only player of the previous 5 to do that in a losing effort. However, this game did not lack for drama, as you may know. The biggest play that I think happened was J.R. Smith apparently forgot time and score. George Hill was at the line. He made 1 of 2 to tie the game. 4.7 seconds left. And J.R. Smith, who had 10 points and 6 rebounds on 3 of 10 shooting and 2 of 6 from the three-point line, had just kind of a brain drain, I guess you could say. He apparently forgot not necessarily score, according to him, but time. Very distressed LeBron James was not willing to implicate him or point to him as the culprit. In this scenario, Kevin Love chipped in with 21 points, 14 rebounds. A little bit of the inside the numbers stuff. The Cleveland Cavaliers out-rebounded the Golden State Warriors 53-38 in Game 1. But unfortunately, what it came down to is an overtime win for the Golden State Warriors. They are 4-0 in Game 1s against the Cleveland Cavaliers the last 4 years. This is the fourth meeting of the two teams in the last 4 years. It's kind of almost like Groundhog Day. Is this really happening again? But right now, it's gotten a little bit crazy in the sense that there was some questionable plays called regarding a foul on LeBron James that the referees reviewed, being outside the restricted area versus being in illegal guarding position on Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, of course, one of the major cogs in the Golden State Warriors machinery this year. Steph Curry had 29. Kevin Durant had 26. And Klay Thompson had 24. Draymond Green also chipped in with 13, along with Sean Livingston having 10. There was actually 5 players, Golden State Warrior players, who were in double figures. So Game 2 is Sunday night. My point regarding this series, one of the points I wanted to make to you earlier, as far as the audience listening on Libsyn and or Stitcher Radio, was Ty Lue was going to have to expand his rotation, get some contributions from other players, which he did to a degree. But once again, the firepower of the Golden State Warriors overcame LeBron James' valiant effort. This might be LeBron James' most complete effort in the playoffs with this team. I actually looked last week at the roster for the 2006-2007 Cleveland Cavaliers, which LeBron James single-handedly carried upon his shoulders that team to the NBA Finals, where they lost 4-1. Unfortunately, with the trade at the deadline, I mentioned this a couple podcasts ago, the trades took place at the trade deadline in the middle of February 2018 during the February trading period. The deadline was during that time. There was only about 30 games left. And then, of course, Kobe Altman, general manager of the Cleveland Cavaliers decided to retool the team, bringing in Larry Nance, Rodney Hood, and Jordan Clarkson, who essentially really haven't really played a lot of minutes. Tyronn Lue choosing to go with a very tight rotation of about 7 to 8 guys most normally. I think he's going to have to expand his rotation just a little bit. So congratulations to the Golden State Warriors. I think the Golden State Warriors are going to win this series in 5 and or 6 games. I might give Cleveland 2 games, but I believe it will probably be quicker than that. Wanted to also mention AccessMediaGlobal.com, my website that I've founded and constructed for you. One of the 2 programming notes, weekly podcasts, the Sports Media Podcast hosted by Jimmy Traina. Jimmy Traina is interviewing Grant Wall here. Grant Wall is been hired by Fox Sports to do the World Cup. The World Cup, of course, commencing on June 14th. Unfortunately, here on the West Coast, we have some either late night or early morning games with a 10-hour time difference. I think I went over that with a soccer aficionado neighbor of mine. We were talking about that the other day, and we're going to enjoy this month. Even though the United States is not in the tournament, that doesn't mean we can enjoy the beautiful game one more time. And Grant Wall was on the SI Sports Media podcast. That was with Richard Deutsch. The other podcast that I feature was the SI Media podcast, ESPN's Darren Rovell. Discussed a lot of issues. Hopefully you'll enjoy those. Now, the reason there was a little bit of confusion there, if you aren't following those podcasts, Richard Deutsch used to work for SI. He apparently is off to Toronto to do sports radio on AM 59. You can check with the sports radio in Toronto. You can maybe go to the on-air tab with me, the international tab as well, to follow some Canadian sports. But Richard Deutsch, he decided to leave SI, take a job doing sports radio in Toronto, AM 590 in Toronto would be where you'll be able to find him. But at any rate, Jimmy Traina took his place in doing the SI Media podcast. So along with his writing with The Athletic and The Athletic, I'm not willing to go ahead and pay for that. I'm not willing to go ahead and post that. Peter Gammons also left for The Athletic. One of the things I'm looking to do is change one of the links on the baseball page. Peter Gammons is no longer monitoring his website. That, of course, because of his duties with the MLB Network and longtime writer for the Boston Globe and covering the Red Sox, that becomes prohibitive. So that's 2 podcasts that I feature. Those are up right now. I just wanted to go ahead and just give you some instant impressions, if you will, of Game 1. I do believe that Tyronn Lue did the best he could with the talent that he has had. He had a great game plan. I believe Cleveland, if I remember correctly, Cleveland outscored the Golden State Warriors 56. I'm sorry, the Golden State Warriors in the paint were a 56-52 advantage. There's all kinds of neat stats. I'll be posting those tomorrow morning, June 1st, 2018. It's late night here on the West Coast of the United States where this podcast is being recorded. But I wanted to give you some instant reaction in my feelings regarding the series. Surprised that Cleveland actually did ascend to the Eastern Conference title, but not surprised that LeBron James is there. Now, one of the things that we might want to talk about at a later time, I won't address it now, but I'll be talking about superstar fatigue. And in this regard, this is the fourth consecutive time Golden State and Cleveland have met in the NBA Finals. That's totally fine, but some of us are getting maybe a little fatigued seeing LeBron James in the finals. He's been in the last 8 finals, I believe. He's about ready to go 3-6. He's 3-5 currently. I believe the Golden State Warriors will win the NBA title in 5 or 6 games. It will not go 7. Once again, it will not go 7 games, but wanted to go ahead and get that out there now. The other things that we wanted to talk about, I'll be posting some things regarding the Vegas Golden Knights. They, of course, were evened and bested in Game 2 of the Stanley Cup. 3-2. Alex Ovechkin and crew is doing a wonderful job defensively. Braden Holtby is holding his own against a very, very competent Marc-Andre Fleury. Now, Marc-Andre Fleury has put together what I believe to be comparable performances to Mike Quick when the Los Angeles Kings were making their runs to the Stanley Cup under Darryl Sutter in 2012 and 2014 and things of this nature. I really believe that Marc-Andre Fleury has been the life of the Vegas Knights as far as that goes. I do want to also point out to the NHL fans that I do believe that the line of Carlson, James Neal, and Marchessault are going to be a key line, although the fourth line led by Nosek with 2 goals in one of the previous Stanley Cup games. I forget whether it was 1 or 2. I believe it was 1 where he had 2 goals. Vegas Knights winning 5-4 in Game 1, losing in Game 2, 3-2. The schedule for the NHL rest of the Stanley Cup will be posted by me probably tomorrow, and I also will be posting the remainder of the games for the NBA Championship. Now, those will be probably given to you in Eastern Time. Those of you listening on the West Coast of the United States, 6 p.m. Pacific Time on the American Broadcasting Company Network. Check your local ABC affiliate stations across the United States for game and time in your area. All right? Well, for right now, I'm going to put this thing to bed, but I do want to say this. I don't put it past LeBron James to win 2 games. Do I think he's going to win the championship? No. This supporting cast is his worst since 2006, 2007. I don't believe the Rodney Hoods of the world. I don't believe the Jordan Clarksons of the world and the Larry Nance Jr.'s, although I love Larry Nance's upside. Was very disappointed that he was traded away from the Los Angeles Lakers. But once again, the Lakers are retooling their roster. 35 wins, 47 losses. And, of course, in Los Angeles, we're looking forward to the Summer League and the improvement of Kyle Kuzma. And one of the other things, just on a note, NBA note, was very disappointed that Doc Rivers was renewed as the coach of the Clippers, even though they traded away a lot of their pieces, among those Chris Paul of the Houston Rockets, and, of course, Blake Griffin and his $175 million 5-year contract to the lowly Detroit Pistons. Apologies to Andre Drummond, okay? At any rate, we're going to talk to you probably later this week, maybe tomorrow, maybe on Saturday, but I wanted to at least touch base with you on the NBA Game 1 podcast. Once again, the Golden State Warriors, 124-114 winners. That means the Cavaliers are 4 wins and 6 losses on the road this year during their tour of the playoffs here. But Game 2, Oracle Arena, Oakland, California, on believe it's Sunday night, 5 p.m. Game time will be about 6:10 after all the pomp and circumstance and player intros are completed. You can listen to this and any other podcast on Libsyn and Stitcher Radio. Until next time, I'm Mark Janish, your host. This has been the From the Bench podcast for May 31st, 2018. Good night, everyone.